Hey everybody, welcome to the first honors symposium for the spring 2021 semester. We appreciate you joining us tonight to talk all about research at OSU. And joining us, we have Nicole Stevenson, who is the Assistant Director of the McNair Scholars Program, and Latasha Tashua, who is from the Office of Scholar Development and Undergraduate Research. They're going to be giving you guys some great information about how you can get involved in research at OSU, how you can get involved in some potential scholarship opportunities where you might get paid to do some research. That's super cool. And then also kind of a little bit more about the McNair Scholars Program, which can give some of our first gen students some really valuable resources if they're interested in going on to the next level, and get them involved in research as well in some really cool ways. So first, I'm going to turn it over to Nicole. She's going to talk with us for a little bit. And then Latasha, and then at the end, we'll have time for a little bit of a Q&A. So please send us your questions if you guys have any. All right, I'll turn it over to you, Nicole. Go ahead.
Perfect. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you all for having me. And I promise you I will not bore you with a whole bunch of stats. We're just going to get on and talk about the most salient points of the program. And hopefully it's something that you're interested in and would like to be a part of. So I'm gonna get my PowerPoint up here. All right, can everybody see this? Perfect. Okay, so you're probably wondering, what is the McNair program? Who is it created for? What are the benefits? All those fun things. So we're gonna talk about all those things and a little bit more as well. So the McNair Scholars Program was created to honor the life of Dr. Ronald McNair. So Dr. McNair was an astrophysicist. He was one of the first African Americans to go into space. And he really broke down a lot of barriers, had a lot of firsts, and was really a jack of all trades. He was also the first astronaut to play the saxophone in space. He was an accomplished musician as well. Unfortunately, he passed away in the Challenger space mission explosion, along with the rest of his crew members. And so shortly after that, members of Congress came together and they created the McNair Scholars Program to honor his life and legacy. So Dr. McNair was a first generation underrepresented student. Grew up, I'll say he grew up in the 60s, he grew up really in the 50s, 60s. So dealt with a lot of adversity that way. But in spite of that, was an incredible student and ended up getting his PhD in physics from MIT and really just made quite a great name for himself in the field of science and STEM. And so, as I mentioned, this program was created to honor his life and legacy, but to also help students that come from similar backgrounds as his to also obtain a graduate degree. So as you see on my little infographic here, who may become a McNair Scholar? So someone who is first generation, meaning neither parent obtained a bachelor's degree, someone who comes from a low income household, and someone who also falls within one of the underrepresented groups that you see listed below. So whether that's African American, Hispanic, Latinx, Native American, or Pacific Islander, and someone who also has a desire to pursue and obtain a PhD after graduating with your bachelor's degree. So there are a handful of benefits from joining the McNair program. I would say probably the first one being you're automatically entered into a huge community of other McNair scholars. So of course we have a program here for undergraduate students, but and a lot of you guys may not be aware of this, on the graduate level, OSU supports McNair scholars. So they offer fellowships to McNair scholars that decide to attend here for graduate school, meaning that their tuition is waived, so they don't have to worry about paying tuition, which is fantastic because the cost of tuition for a graduate degree is typically about 3 times the amount of what you would normally pay for your bachelor's. So you get a tuition waiver, then you also get built-in support within your department and a kind of a point person that you'll connect with and talk with throughout your time within your graduate program if you're a McNair scholar. And so that doesn't stop once you graduate from undergrad. You'll still be a McNair scholar for the rest of your life. And that, again, comes with such a large community of other scholars across the nation. So in general, there are about 180 undergraduate McNair Scholars programs at different universities. And the great thing about that is most of these universities that have an undergraduate program, they have a really robust support system for graduate McNair fellows as well. So that's, I would say it's probably one of the biggest benefits, on top of the fact that the program is designed to walk you through how to get into graduate school. And I mean, from start to finish, how to write a personal statement. We walk you through why it's important, how early you should start in that process. We walk you through how to approach a faculty mentor to write you a letter of recommendation. Because for most schools, you need anywhere between 2 or 3. So we literally give you the templates to send out to faculty, excuse me, to your faculty mentors and advisors. We also help you get paired with a faculty mentor who will actually walk you through the research process. So a lot of people may think, oh, I'm not sure if I'm into research because I can't see myself in a white coat in a lab with some Bunsen burners. But research looks very different depending on the program or the area that you're in. So it can look like, for example, say you want to go to a concert and you decide, I don't want to pay full price for these tickets. So you're going to go and you're going to research a whole bunch of other sites that you could possibly purchase this ticket at for a lower price. Well, that's research in the simplest form of explanation. And so depending on what your field of study is, that might be something that you're interested in. And then of course, if you join the program and attend the workshops that we offer students throughout the academic year, and also continue to do work on a research project with your assigned faculty mentor, you can obtain a research stipend of $2,800 just for your time in the program and just meeting a few markers that we have set up for you guys. And so I would say that's a part of the stipend. Another thing as well is that while we have you do research, we also give you an opportunity to practice what you've been working on all semester. So we encourage you all to attend conferences, present at conferences, in which we will cover the cost for that. Prior to COVID, we were able to take students to travel to different conferences across the nation. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to do that physically, but a lot of these conferences are now in the virtual setting. And so we're still able to ensure that students get that same practice and experience and networking opportunity. So another benefit as well in regards to obtaining a graduate degree is that you'll have greater access. Another big one is that you'll have an increased earning potential, so you'll make more money than what you would with just a bachelor's degree. And of course, it'll allow you to network even better in your respective career fields as well. And so I don't want to keep talking about all the nitty gritty and things like that. So guys, if you have any questions or if this sounds like something that you may be interested in, please let me know. I also was a McNair scholar, so I can talk to you guys as well about the student experience and what that is like. And so if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer anything that you might have. And again, thank you so much for your time this evening. We are in the middle of recruitment season, so our application is online, trio.okstate.edu. And of course, you can also reach me at mcnairscholars@okstate.edu as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nicole. So like she said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to toss those in the chat or send them to me and Cindy. And next, we are going to hear from Latasha from the Office of Scholar Development and Undergraduate Research. So take it away, Latasha.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. Well, to start out, I noticed a few of you might be freshman research scholars. That's also a program that is done through our office, so I'm going to talk about a little bit of that, but I wanted to say hello to those people that I do know. The first question you might have is how to get involved in research. How do you even get started? You might have heard of this. Some people associate research with graduate school and don't realize that it's something you can actually work on right now as an undergraduate. But if you have a desire and an interest to get involved in research, that's the first step. And like I tell students in the Freshman Research Scholars Program, if you just start talking to your faculty and ask around, let people know that you're interested in getting involved in research, that is usually what is going to open a door for you to have an experience. And it doesn't matter what you're studying. You don't have to be in the hard sciences or in engineering. You can have any major. Research is happening everywhere on campus in all departments. And I'd say start with your current professors. Is there anyone who's kind of stood out to you who seems especially interesting, or has anyone mentioned a project they're working on or something they've been involved with? Talk to them. Just maybe volunteer your time. Say, hey, are you working on anything that I could help out with? I'd just like to have a little research experience. So I'd say be open to any kind of opportunity, even if it's entering some data in a spreadsheet in the beginning. I went to OSU as an undergrad. I studied political science, and I did just that for one of my political science professors. He was working on a big project and said, I need someone to work on this spreadsheet. And I had a job and I was a student, and I kind of thought, why should I spend my time doing that? But it sounds exciting. And that experience led to many more. And later in my undergrad, I had my name published in the back, but still, of a book. So that was really exciting. And that led to, many other opportunities to continue further the research. And in the Freshman Research Scholars Program, which is something students apply for before they come to OSU and then are involved in their first year. So it's too late to start that if you haven't already been involved with that. But we just have our students reach out to professors and say, hey, can I get involved with a project? And you never know where that can take you. I'm going to talk about some more exciting opportunities for undergrads because they are funded. Like Nicole has a wonderful opportunity with McNair. We also have several other programs on campus. There are a lot of faculty at OSU that really support undergraduate research. And there are a lot of donors who have also wanted to help support. So thankfully we have some funding. Even if you're not in a funded program, though, you can still have research experience, get involved in something. You never know where it will lead. From entering some data in a spreadsheet, then you could, before you know it, be presenting at a conference with that same professor, or applying for some of these programs I'll tell you about with that professor. That's another key point, is establishing a relationship with someone, a faculty member who can help guide you and help you find other research experiences. There is also an Oklahoma State Research Club on campus. I haven't seen much this semester yet, but I would stay tuned. If it's something you're interested in, keep an eye out for them. They're on Instagram and they'll post their meeting announcements when they have them, I'm sure. But that's the OK State Research Club. We partner with the library and try to offer some workshops throughout the semester. We have one coming up in February that's called Building Your Research Profile. So that's something else that you're all invited to. I'll send a link or some more information about that. But kind of pay attention to what's going on around campus. Listen for research club meetings or workshops that you can attend to get involved and hear what's going on. So through our office, we have the WINTS Research Scholars Program, and I'm also going to talk about the NIBLAC Research Scholars Program. These are two major opportunities for undergraduates to have pretty good scholarships and carry out an independent research project. So the WINTS program is open to all students in any major. It's a $4,500 scholarship, and you apply with your own project. You submit a project proposal. It's just one page. You will have a faculty mentor. So this is someone that you need to identify before you apply and talk to them about your project idea. It's fine for them to offer advice. We hope that they will, to help guide you through creating a plan. What's your methodology for your project? What's a good timeline? These are all important components of the application, which I will screen share to our WINTS website. You can find all of the information on applying on our, is that working? Okay. Yes, on our website, which I sent a link earlier to Cindy. So if you go to Prospective WINTS Researchers, we have all of the eligibility requirements. You do have to be enrolled as an undergraduate for both semesters. This award is for the next fall and spring. Unfortunately, you can't be graduating in December. And you just need to have completed 12 credit hours already. So if you're here, you've probably done that, and then have a 3.0 GPA. The faculty mentor is an important component because they are also going to write a recommendation for your application. So you're submitting a proposal that is written by you, but it's okay if you have some feedback from your faculty member to help you construct that proposal. And this is going to be your project. So it's different than the Freshman Research Scholars Program, or a previous research experience you might have had, where you're probably working on a project for a professor, kind of working on their greater project. This is actually your project. So it could be related to a professor's larger project. The idea could have come from that their project they're working on. It could be related, something that will be helpful for the greater project, but it's your project. It could also be completely independent, not related to anything. So we have the guidelines on our website, and there's examples of past proposals that's helpful to look through, the review process, all of this information is listed here, and then here's the link to the application to apply. If you have any questions about that at all, please let me know. I'm happy to answer anything. The deadline for that application is coming up February 12th. So keep that in mind. The NIBLAC Research Scholars Program is very similar, except it's only for students in lab, hard sciences and working in laboratories. So this does exclude some areas. That's because it's funded by Dr. NIBLAC, who went to OSU and was quite successful in pharmaceuticals. This program is actually hosted through the Office of the Vice President for Research's office. So it's not through our office, but we work closely together. They have the same application deadline, February 12th, coming up. This is an $8,000 award scholarship, and it lasts for 3 semesters. So a big requirement that is a kind of a recent change in their process, you need to have an anticipated graduation date of December 2022 or later. So you need to have these 3 semesters in their timeline available. Usually it requires, I'm sorry, not 3 semesters, but a summer, a fall, and a spring has been their usual timeline. They had a little, it got pushed back a little bit last year because of COVID, but they're hoping to have the program this summer, but if not, it would be the following summer. So there's more information on that application process on their website up here, I believe. So those are 2 major awards that I would encourage you to keep in mind. If you have done research, if you've worked on something and you think, great, I have this project, both of those awards you'll present at a symposium, your poster or paper. But if you want to share more broadly, of course, there are opportunities to present at conferences within your field. Maybe your professor can help you with those. But one kind of smaller conference that is available to everyone across the state is the Oklahoma Research Day. event. I just wanted you to know about this. It happens every spring and it's hosted by one of the smaller colleges in the state. But all students from all over Oklahoma are welcome, and it's interdisciplinary, so it doesn't matter your field. And you just present a poster, and it's not quite as intense as some conferences can be. So I like to encourage students to keep this on your radar. It's a good place to start out and have the experience of presenting at a event where there's students from all over and professors from all over who are talking to you about your poster, but it's also not quite as intimidating as flying across the country and presenting at a major conference with people just from your field. And another point I'll make is we have, through our office, you can apply for an undergraduate research transcript designation. This is kind of like an honors designation on your transcript. It's a line that goes on and says, this person was involved in undergraduate research. If you've been involved in research for at least 2 semesters, you can apply for that. But you also need to have presented at an event that's larger than just our university. So for example, if you're a Wentz scholar, you'll present at our Wentz Research Symposium with all the other Wentz scholars, but that wouldn't count. So Oklahoma Research Day is something that would count, as would any other conference or event. It's just a nice designation to have on your transcript. You can apply at any time during your undergrad. You can even apply after you graduate, up to a few months, I believe, to have that put on there. But one other thing to keep in mind, if you're doing undergraduate research and you want to have that designation. Let's see, one more thing I wanted to mention was, that's the council. Oh, didn't I not open it? Okay. NCUR is a major, the national conferences on undergraduate research. Oh, it is, okay. This is a national conference to keep in mind. Our office sponsors students, we cover the registration fee if you're accepted. This is a virtual conference this year, and the registration, or not the registration, but the submission deadline has passed. But something you could keep on your list for the future. It's also open to students in all areas. So this is kind of a national level conference that is good to keep in mind. It was actually hosted at UCO 2 or 3 years ago, and I was able to attend, and it's just really neat to have students, undergrad students from all over the country coming together to present on all sorts of topics. Let's see. I feel like we should open it for questions at this point and talk about anything that people have specific interest in. What do you think? Let me stop sharing.
No, that sounds great to get some questions in. We actually had one just come across for you, Latasha. But do the credit or do research hours for that designation on the transcript need to be associated with credit hours?
They do not. No, you'll have a professor sign off to confirm that you were involved in 2 semesters of research with them, but it doesn't have to be actual credit hours.
Perfect. So students, also remember, if you have questions, just like that one popped up in chat, be sure to put them there if you have them, and I'll be sure to pick those up and help facilitate getting some answers to your guys' questions. But we did have some others as well. One of them is actually for Nicole. What is the deadline for a student to apply for the McNair Scholarship this semester?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do not have a hard deadline, but the earlier you get your application in, the better. So if you want to take some time and submit it this week, that'd be great. Look forward to reading the materials. Can you tell me who asked that question, just so I can make a note to just send some additional information?
I did.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
I just sent a link to the undergraduate research transcript designation application. It's a little wordy, but this has gone through many faculty council reviews and all sorts of things. If you have questions after looking over that specifically, please just let me know, reach out anytime. Basically though, you need to have been involved in research for 2 semesters. It doesn't have to be through a specific program. And you need to have either published a paper on that research or presented that research at a conference or event that is larger than just university-wide. So regional, statewide, or beyond. And then you'll submit the proof of your presentation, like the program or something like that, with the application. And that application, we accept applications always, it's kind of an ongoing basis, but we have a November 1st and April 1st deadline each semester. Some people end up, oh my goodness, it's tomorrow. It's within the week or so. It's not a firm deadline, just for the record, because we're always accepting those, reviewing, but to get it done that semester, get it in around the 1st of November or April.
Perfect. And for those that are eventually viewing the recording, that was a question for clarification on that transcript designation that you can apply for. For our students here now, all these, well, most of these links should all be posted onto the honors website. So if you don't have them now, or you're curious about, websites later on and how to find these programs again after the fact, they will be included on the honors website, hopefully within the week. But we'll have an email go out about that. But one thing I wanted to definitely make sure I highlight about this in regards to how does this blend in with honors specifically, we're not necessarily helping you secure these opportunities. You need to be reaching out to your professors and filling out these applications. But as you're doing these different types of programs and doing research and maybe going to conferences and presenting at them, you can still be earning honors credit for those, even if it's not associated with credit hours. So as you're doing these things, if you become a McNair Scholar or a WINCE or a NIBLAC, be sure to remember to check in with your honors advisor. We'll make sure that you're going to get the maximum potential of your honors credit, because if you do the research and then later you go to a conference, those are 2 different things. 2 opportunities now to earn honors credit for that one single experience. So we can do that early on. Well, let's say you're also going to be doing one of these for the course of your senior year, for instance, or even senior year. As you're doing this research, if it's associated with your major or closely related to it, then that is definitely something we can look into using for your thesis projects. So you guys might not have the thesis on your radar now, but I know myself and Amanda have advised many students who use the research for these programs, these funded programs, for their honors thesis. So it's a great opportunity to be blending all these different things all in to your honors work. Another question popped up in the chat. So this one's going to be for Latasha about when are the decisions released for the WINCE and the NIBLAC scholarships?
Well, for WINCE, we like to get them out in early April. They're due in mid-February from students. Then we give faculty another 2 weeks, I believe, to get in their recommendations. So really, applications are complete at the end of February. Then we send them out to the review committees for the month of March. So we try to have decisions in early April. NIBLAC has usually been the same. I will just say things are different because of the pandemic. And last year, we had the exceptional event that they didn't make a decision until, I believe, the end of May or something. And we were kind of on hold also for that. The awards will start, well, for WINCE, the award starts in the fall. So by the start of the semester, everyone knew where they stood, but it was kind of a stressful summer because you can apply for both WINCE and NIBLAC. The applications are fairly similar. They're a little bit different, but you can apply with the same project for both. If you're accepted for both, you must only choose one. You cannot be a WINCE and a NIBLAC scholar at the same time. Oftentimes people choose NIBLAC because it is more funding. So over the summer, we had a nice pool of students who were waiting because they were next in line if the students who were offered both did not, if they chose NIBLAC, for example, but we weren't actually sure what NIBLAC was going to do because normally they start in the summer. Anyway, that's a little complicated, but for WINCE, we're expecting early April, and we hope that NIBLAC will be similar this year as well.
And then for you, Nicole, for the McNair, you said there isn't a hard deadline. If a student's applying, then when would they expect to hear back about the McNair scholars?
So, pretty quickly, when they submit their materials, we have a built-in feature for them to also upload some supplemental information. So as soon as I receive all of that information, I will contact them. I'll send out, just to kind of give you a kind of outline of the application process. So after I receive the materials and I have all the additional attachments, I'll send out some communications to the individuals that are listed as references that they listed on the application. Once I receive all of that information, they'll hear from me to schedule a virtual interview. And then after that, probably within the next week or so after that interview is scheduled, then they'll hear back about a decision. So it happens fairly quickly. We try not to keep them waiting for too long, just because their students are eager to know kind of what they'll be doing for the summer, since we do have a summer research component as well.
And this is going to be a question for both of you guys, kind of like that one. But when students are doing the research for any of these programs, is there a requirement to enroll in credit hours for the research, or is it okay if there isn't that component? So they know in terms of potentially building it into their credit hours each semester. So we'll toss it back over to you, Nicole, since you were just chatting.
Sure. So we highly encourage that students do enroll in those research hours with their faculty mentor. And it's mostly so that they can get credit for all of the hard work that they're doing. If you're doing research in the fall and the spring, you might as well just enroll in an hour or two, depending on your academic schedule. We don't require you to enroll in any specific amount, but at least an hour or two each semester. Or like when you're going to apply to graduate schools and they're looking at your academic transcript, they can see like, oh, this student, in addition to having the marker on your transcript that you participated in undergraduate research, because we do encourage McNair scholars to also do that as well, it just looks really good that you're getting credit each semester that you're working in a research lab and with a faculty mentor.
We, with the WINCE program, we usually have students enroll in research, or we ask them to enroll in research hours in the spring if they can. We don't require it exactly. They need to tell us if they can't. And in the fall, sometimes students do, but oftentimes they might have, they think, enough research credit hours on their transcript or something like that. So they don't have to. We encourage it.
Awesome. So for honors as well, we're definitely, encourage you guys to apply or to enroll in those credit hours. We do require it for the thesis component. So you can definitely work with those and blending it into the hours you're already enrolling in for those programs if you do choose to use that. But definitely talk with your faculty mentors that you're doing your research with, your major advisor for enrolling in the hours and how it can fit into your block rate, and then honors just to make sure you're earning all the credit for your honors awards. But if anyone has any final questions, be sure to ask those in the chat really quickly. But otherwise, this is going to be the end of the symposium for learning all about research at OSU. We're so thankful to both Nicole and Latasha for spending part of their evening chatting with us so that you guys can know more about your opportunities relating to research that can be funded at OSU, but also just how to kind of get started in chatting with your faculty mentors. about doing research. So thanks everybody for hanging out. If you have questions at a later date, always ask Amanda and I, and we can link you up with one of the two of them that's relating to the program you're interested in. But all this information is going to go onto the honors website soon, like I mentioned earlier, on the Symposium Series website, including this recording and the websites to their offices and the applications for those upcoming scholarships. So remember, if you're doing the Winsor, the NIBLAC scholar, or the applications are due next Friday, February 12th. And if you're going to look for the McNair one, go ahead and get started on that as soon as you can. So thanks for hanging out, guys. And if you have questions, always be sure to contact us later.